technology is always a solution in the crisis. So technology will be really handy. There are multiple areas in which this technology would be adopted. One area is in the conduction of admission tests. The other area where technology definitely will play a most important role is in the learning space.
For online education to really become mainstream and enroll millions of students rather than hundreds of thousands of students, we need to have online degrees that are accredited by the various agencies.
My message to all the students and the higher education stakeholders is we need to double our efforts in this time in order to sustain and keep our economy afloat.
In India, we have to look at technology and education 4.0 as actually providing education to the uneducated, people who are not getting quality education.
Education 3.0 was nothing but technology driven. This is now going to be a permanent feature and is now going to figure in all the teaching learning activities of times to come.
Today to discuss and share your views on College Dunia Connect Season 3 Chapter 11 webinar. And then, to start with, as you all very well aware of College Dunia being a market leader, College Dunia is a leading search portal for higher education in India and abroad. We curate extensive information on exams, course and colleges and make it easily accessible for the students as well as parents. So we have a proficient counseling team which support the students throughout the admission process, and then choosing a right college as a career to their as a path to their career is most important, which is happening with College Dunia, and most of the students try to find out the information of colleges and courses over College Dunia as a platform. And then we have reached certain milestones so far, and then we have 400 million plus unique visitors on our website, and then we have 800 colleges, institutes and universities working with us across India and abroad. And then we have 50 lakh plus app downloads on Google Play Store and then iOS Store as well. And then we have so far delivered more than 10 lakh plus admissions so far our journey since the inception of College Dunia. And then we have a large student database which includes both undergraduate courses and then higher education student database. And we have the details of around 350 exams on our platform and 1,20,000 plus courses available. The information related to 1,20,000 plus courses available on our platform, and then we have more than 30 lakh plus reviews available on College Dunia as a platform to students as well as institutes. And then we have one student who write a review every 3 minutes. So that is a great achievement. And then those reviews will be shared across different colleges. And then we have a strong user base of students who are divided gender-wise and then age-based, and then on a device-based and then geography-based. If we look at it, most of the students who seek admissions or who try to gather the information on College Dunia platform are between the age of 18 to 24. And then the geography, if we look at geography-wise, most of the students tend to search the information from south itself, southern states of India. 36.8% of the students from southern states of India, they try to find out the information related to colleges, institutes or universities and courses, exams, so on and so forth. And if we look at the journey of the student, the journey of the student on College Dunia platform starts with selection of courses or finding out the courses and exams, and then they will give the exam and they'll find based on the previous exams and then marks and score. They will have an option to predict their ranks and then based on their cutoffs, and then we will give preparation tips to those students who are preparing for any competitive exams and then any entrance exams. And then post which they will choose the colleges based on their reviews, fees, faculty, the eligibility into the colleges, and then the facilities available at particular college. And then post which they will go through an application process where students fill an application which is called common application form. So if a student a student or parent search for BTech college, so based on their previous marks and then rankings, they will fill the common application form, and that will be shared with the colleges. And then some of the students pay their fees online as well, and then they will be notified regarding their online fee payment and then the common application fill form which they have filled earlier. And then post which those details will be shared with the institutes, and then they will be given career counseling guidance as well. And then to some of the students who seek education loan will also be provided from our end. And then that is the entire journey of students on College Dunia platform. And then we have integrated admission experience for the students. We have 24/7 support to the students in terms of chat, counseling, video sharing, and then we conduct different fairs across India. And then we do remarketing activities for the colleges, institutes, or universities in order to increase their student base, and in order to increase their digital reach, and then promote the colleges. We do remarketing activities as well. And then we have a pocket encyclopedia for the students as well as colleges, wherein all the details related to colleges will be made available on our platform. And as you all know, College Dunia and is market leader in the same space and has competitors like Shiksha, Career 360, College Deco, and many others. And then we being market leader since July 2014, we have launched, and then probably we are market leaders in terms of the traffic, the user traffic, in terms of the number of admissions delivered to the colleges, and in terms of the support we provide to the students and parents. And then College Dunia believe in quality assurance and personalization for every student and partnering colleges. And in terms of the entire admission cycle, we give support to colleges as well as the students and parents. So we have 600 million traffic so far on our website, and then we have 40 million leads generated, 17 million personalized showcases, and 8 million leads of major courses, and 150,000 of applications so far, delivered to the colleges, and 10 lakh plus admissions across India and abroad. So if we look at College Dunia performance over last 6 months, this is the graph. If we look at the total traffic, the user traffic on College Dunia website past 6 months, over the past few years as well, we have grown in terms of traffic, in terms of users, in terms of number of leads delivered, and in terms of the user engagement as well. So other than the inventories what we have at College Dunia, we have come up with new initiatives such as College Dunia institutions and rankings, College Dunia Connect, we conduct some webinars, and College Dunia conversations, so WhatsApp webinars kind of, and College Dunia consulting to the students and as well as parents. And other than that, additional services from College Dunia are education loan to students and parents. And then we have College Dunia Social, wherein we publicize or we promote colleges and their examinations across different social media platforms. And we have College Dunia interacting past many years with the industry and interviews with dignitaries. We promote, we post articles of colleges and then certain topics from the dignitaries, and then we have campus tours and campus videos as well. And College Dunia not only providing leads or giving support to the students, we also focus on building value for the industry, for the colleges, institutes, and universities. If we look at the chat, these are the top 7 states which is having a huge market in terms of engineering and Bachelor of Technology. across 7 states in India. So those are Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Delhi NCR, Karnataka, and Telangana. And if we look at the current times of COVID-19 pandemic, despite COVID-19 pandemic, most of the students tend to search information on Google or College Dunia website. And then if we look at the trends, irrespective of COVID-19 pandemic, most of the students started searching for colleges, and then localized or personalized colleges, because they cannot travel throughout the country. Hence, they are looking at localization of colleges, and then colleges which are nearby. And those information is made available on College Dunia website, through which they seek entire information related to career. And we are featured on different websites as well, Mint, Indian Express, The Hindu, and many other websites as well. And then we also conduct College Dunia events, College Dunia Connect webinar, which we are at now. And then we have we conduct different events wherein we interact with students, parents, and the dignitaries like you who are here joined to share your views. So to start with, so we are here today to discuss on a topic, a webinar on a topic, as we know very well aware of the current times. Due to unforeseen COVID-19 situation, there were drastic changes in education system, starting from admissions, teaching from offline mode to online, conducting online exams, and many more. Educational institutes have adopted this new phase and tackle many challenges to successfully deliver the values to all stakeholders of institutes. As we know, the world is undeniably digital, and in the last 2 years or more, in fact, the need to go digital has poured across every organization and individual collectively. In education, we have seen institutes adopt LMS, learning management systems, and upskill its professors and trainers in crunch time, conduct online exams with clear accountability, and keep the torch of education aflame in the digital age. And this has been a highly underappreciated field in itself. Hence, we are conducting today an online panel discussion, College Dunia Connect, to bring the stalwarts of higher education together on one platform to discuss on a webinar topic, COVID-19 paradigm shift in education sector and role of technology for continued learning. So to share their views and discuss on the current topic and the current trends, we have dignitaries from across different colleges. We have 6 dignitaries here who are joined with us to share their views. And then we are very glad, sir, ma'am, we are very glad that you are here to share your views on the current topic and the current trend on education and engineering technology in continued learning. So we have today at College Dunia Mr. Satish Chandra, Director from Sri Vishnu Educational Society, and Dr. Samiruddin Khan, and Director from Sri Datta Group of Educational Institutions, and Dr. Sri Lakshmi from Baba Institute of Technology and Science, Vizag, and she is a secretary and correspondent of the college. And Dr. J. Govardhan, Principal, Samskruti College of Engineering and Technology. And Dr. T.V. Prasad, Director of Godavari Group of Institutions. And Dr. Srinivas Rao also here, who is a Principal of MLR Institute of Technology. Let us dive deep into their profiles and let us understand more about these dignitaries. To start with, Dr. T.V. Prasad, Director of Godavari Group of Institutions, has about 23 years of experience in central government and academics, has deep interest in planning and executing major IT projects, as well as in research in new areas of computing and bioinformatics. Professor Prasad is a senior member of the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, USA, Indian Society for Technical Education, International Association of Engineers, and International Association of Computer Science and Information Technology, and International Research Alliance of Science and Technology, Hong Kong, and Asia Pacific Bioinformatics Network, Singapore. His research interests include bioinformatics and artificial intelligence. He has over 135 papers in various journals and conferences to his credit, and has authored 3 books, edited 4 journals, specific issues and conference proceedings, and 2 chapters. So he is seen as an able administrator, system planner, and a designer, and a great motivator by person around him, including faculty members, students, and peers. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us today, and we welcome you here to discuss your views on College Dunia Connect Season 3 and Chapter 11. So we also have Dr. Samiruddin Khan, who is the director of Sri Datta Group of Institutions. He is working as a director for 6 colleges under Sri Datta Institutions, Hyderabad. And he is a well-qualified member who is having a PhD, MTech and BTech in Computer Science and Engineering, having 24 years of experience in the field of education, and has the ability to build institutions from ground zero. He is a custodian of Resource Center for Spoken Tutorial and FOSS IIT Bombay, Remote Training Center at IIT Bombay and Kharagpur, and Research and Development Center Akash, tablets as well. With his devotion and initiative, Sri Datta Group of Education Institutions have received many accreditations. Apart from this, he has collaborated with various multinational companies like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, Unisys, Amazon, and many more. He has been in the education domain for 24 years as a teacher, system administrator, assistant professor, head of the department, and director as well. Also having a diversified exposure to the functioning of various institutions, from minority institutions to working in Tier 1 and Tier 2 institutions. We have closely observed the mindset and quality of the students in colleges as training institutions. So thank you, sir. We are glad that you are here, joined us today to share your views on the current topic. And we also have another dignitary, Mr. Satish Chandra, who is the director at Sri Vishnu Educational Society and its associated colleges. He and his team are responsible for placements, internships, and industry interaction, and are actively held other positions as well at Sri Vishnu Educational Society. Before joining Sri Vishnu Educational Society, Mr. Satish Chandra was with Institute of Electronic Governance, Government of AP, as a program manager, with a mission to enhance employability of young engineers coming out from campus and providing employment opportunities in IT industry, and also making the best destination for IT companies. His work with JKC was responsible for placing 20,000 students from 200 engineering colleges in 30 plus IT companies such as IBM, CSE, CA, Mahindra, Satyam, TCS, Infosys, and we can count on. And his accomplishments include signing MOU with Microsoft, IBM, Infosys, and many other companies. So thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us today to share your views. We are glad that you are here, and we have another dignitary, Dr. Sri Lakshmi Kundu, Secretary and Correspondent, Bhabha Institute of Technology Science, Vizag. And she is the Secretary and Correspondent at Bhabha Institute of Technology and Science. Recently, she was awarded an honorary doctorate in the field of education. She has also been conferred with the Women in Education Leadership Award and National Best Employer Award at 11th Innovation Education Leadership Awards. She is an ardent believer in hard work and transparency. So under her guidance and supervision, Bhabha Institute of Technology and Science has grown from leaps and bounds, and then they are at a stage now. They are employing many of the students and then providing education to giving support to different students and across different groups, and then providing a proper education and extravagant support to the team, staff mates, and then providing quality education to the students as well. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for joining us here. So we have one more dignitary, Dr. J. Govardhan, who is the principal of Samskruti Institute of Engineering and Technology. Sir holds a PhD in Mechanical Engineering from Osmania University, Hyderabad. He obtained his master degree from Delhi College of Engineering, DU, and bachelor's from Institution of Engineers, India. He served defense for 20 years, also has over 22 years of teaching experience in various positions at BVS Raju Institute of Engineering and Technology and PRRM College of Engineering Technology, Shahbaz, and also as a principal at ABN Institute of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad. And he is currently serving as a principal of Samskruti College of Engineering and Technology. He has 6 years of research experience, has 24 papers to his credit in reputed international journals and 7 international conferences. His areas of interest include oscillating combustion IC engines, biofuels, and he also authored a book for undergraduates of mechanical engineering branch, automobile engineering as well. He has guided many undergraduate students for real-time projects. So thank you, sir. Thank you, Govardhan, sir. Thanks for joining us here today to share your views on the current topic at College Dunia Connect, Season 3 and Chapter 11. And we have another dignitary, Dr. Srinivas Ram, who is the principal of MLR Institute of Technology. With more than 20 years of experience in education industry and academics, he has been serving at many institutions and associations across India. Also, he has attended and organized several national level workshops, symposiums and conferences, and has contributed to society with his efforts in the education sector. So thank you, sir, for joining us today. Hope I have covered everyone. So thanks for joining us today, sir.
Thank you.
To start with the current discussion for the day, the topic for the webinar is the COVID-19 paradigm shift in education sector and the role of technology in continued learning. So I request Prasad sir to share your views on the current topic.
Thank you so much. I welcome all the dignitaries also.
So the discussion is as follows.
Yeah.
So current situation, sir. What is the current situation of educational institutions or universities amidst COVID-19? So let us begin discussing with the current situation of educational institutes, colleges or universities across India, especially AP and Telangana.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. And I also welcome all the other dignitaries on the panel. To start with, I have to say that because of this COVID pandemic, the situation of higher education institutions is not so good. It's quite grim for varied reasons. Both the academia and the learners community are demoralized, and then managements are under terrible pressure to perform under highly stressed environment. Then there is a problem of inadequate infrastructure for online learning, and also there is lack of opportunities for experiential learning for the learners. Finally, opportunity for rote learning or learning by imitating or other methods has totally vanished. So these things actually put the entire scenario in trouble. So this is frankly my opinion.
Sir Govardhan sir, would you like to share some views on it?
I'd like to thank the College Dunia for making me to partner with the esteemed and distinguished members of different colleges, and a hi to everybody and also to the participants. The ongoing current situation, the crisis of coronavirus is playing havoc all over the world. So we need to think for a change, for a big change to overcome this crisis. This is crippling the lives of industries, education sectors, and many more. And to all walks of life are affected with this. Then a sector which is mostly affected is the educational sector. Come what may, during this pandemic, the first to close are the education institutions, the last to open to education institutions. The students concern is very much required here because we have to answer the stakeholders. Students may be having so many plans, so many challenges to face, so many dreams to realize, having completed their degrees. How can they complete their degrees unless they get the degrees? They only can get the degrees when all the academic activities, the courses are completed. Likewise, the syllabus completion, the examinations, and all kinds of things. It's only possible with the present situation, the online mode of education. Well, this online mode of education, but for that, it wouldn't have been possible. Why? Because for the past 10 to 15 months, we have been facing the same problem, and we have overcome this crisis majoritarily. Why? Because for the last time, the syllabus in the class, actually the face-to-face interaction between the faculty and the students have been replaced mainly by this online education. So for the labs, sometimes the offline education for a couple of weeks has been conducted. Thereby, the students were in a position to complete their academic courses, they were in a position to get their degrees, and they were in a position to answer the challenges or otherwise fulfill their dreams outside. Now, coming to this, for the online education, already a couple of years back, sensing this kind of situation, the AICTE as well, UGC, under the Ministry of Education, they started with online courses, some of the MOOCs courses under NPTEL, the platform of Swayam, etc. These things have provided a lot of opportunities for the students of especially the third and final years, because under the choice-based grade system, in case if they wanted to choose a kind of subject which is of more of interest for them, and the same subject is not available in the core area, they were choosing like artificial intelligence or maybe Internet of Things or something else. So the MOOCs courses, under the MOOCs, there's NPTEL, the IITians took a lot of interest to make the learning content. Such kind of courses have been selected by the students, and during these online courses provided a lot of opportunities for the students. They cleared those subjects and earned some grades which were taken into consideration by the JNTU, and they have been awarded with degrees. So, but for the online with digital age or digital mode of conduct, this session wouldn't have been possible. This is a real question of present area. So we are seeing there are so many alternates for overcoming this crisis, and definitely we can continue the education sometimes with a mode of online as well as offline in a blended mode. But we should be ready to face any kind of challenges to overcome, and the best answer is the online mode of education, I think so. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing your views on the current situation of educational institutions amidst COVID-19. So I would like to request Sri Lakshmi ma'am to share her views on the same.
Good evening, one and all, and thank you for College Dunia for giving this opportunity. Actually, the title itself, you were concentrating completely on the teaching part. So, current situation of educational institutions and university amidst COVID means, when it comes to the financial aspects as we look on and logistics, it is a very tough and confused state for all the education institutes, as we are into that. But when it comes to the teaching, the physical mode almost it's at an end. It's ended, and I think the print in India has shrunk by 25 to 30%. And there are no books, means hard copies of books are also not there. 40 to 50% of the whatever the students used to get books and all, now nothing is there, everything is online. But one thing is there, first of all, in the first few months after the lockdown, we also faced some problems. Shifting from the offline mode suddenly onto the online mode, as Mr. Govardhan Garu has quoted, the MOOCs and NPTEL, yes, they were well versed, but it wasn't an interactive session before. They are recorded videos which students used to go with. But now, when it comes to these classes, online sessions, because when it comes to AP and Telangana, especially, we do have all successful students who are there in area, because when it comes to my institute, I have students, 30% of the students, 25 to 30% of the students who will be there from the mainstream, means who reside in the area where the networks and all facilities are available. But when it comes to the students who are residing in remote areas and who lack these facilities over there, that has become a very tedious task for us to get them onto the online platform. Even if in a village, if 3 or 4 students were there as neighbors and all, they used to come to a place and listen to the classes. Initially, the attendance was very low, to be frank, but now it has reached 95%, sometimes 100% too. And all of them got habituated to this online system of education. We can say this COVID has given us a new way of learning, but at the same time, being engineering, means the universities or colleges who deal with the technology, it has become a tough task to explain to students everything theoretically in the class, from a classroom, because it's a video session also. There will be some constraints when they can't go to the lab. We are having these innovations going, our teacher will be going into the lab, doing the experiment, showing it to the students so that they will understand it easily and sharing the audio visuals. But bottom line, yes, the situation is tough. We are managing and we managed it well till now. Let us see what will happen, because COVID is taking its own turns. We can't at all say what is going to happen next.
Yes, ma'am. We are all, in fact, you people being the educationalist and service provider to students, then you are all very well aware of the current situation and how we have transformed from offline learning to online learning. So on the same note, I would like Srinivas Rao sir to share your views, sir, on the current situation. Srinivas Rao sir. Sir, can you able to hear me?
Yeah, am I audible? Am I audible, Srikanth?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Perfect.
Yeah,
So you can share your views on the current situation, sir.
yeah. So good evening, all the dignitaries, and I thank the College Dunia for giving me this opportunity to this as a panelist. And with the spread of the pandemic, almost all the regions have implemented lockdowns, shutting down all the activities that require human gatherings like colleges, schools, malls, temples, whatnot. And that lockdown has resulted in most of the people taking to the internet and internet-based services to communicate, interact, and continue with their job responsibilities from home. These internet services have seen rise in the usage from 40% to 100% when compared with the pre-lockdown levels. And the video conferencing services like Zoom have taken 10 times increase in the usage. And this situation, how it is affecting to the education system is, and we are trying to shift the complete paradigm So that education is another factor and domain in which there is a dramatic shift to the online mode of transacting. And since the beginning of the lockdown, schools, colleges, and universities around the world have shifted their classes to video conferencing platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, and other platforms. So it is clear that the pandemic has utterly disrupted our education system. So with this sudden shift away from the classroom in many parts of the globe, some are wondering whether the adoption of online learning will continue to persist post-pandemic, and how such a shift would impact the worldwide education market. In continuation of this, now the students are adopting to the online platform, but the challenge is the faculty here. So the faculty have not trained in these areas, but sudden shift of paradigm from classroom to online, it is a difficult one. But now the everything this pandemic have shown a lot of lessons on this. Now the faculty are also getting trained to teach online methodology. But the thing is, the faculty need to be make the class interesting. So then only the students will be available in the online. Otherwise, no, simply they'll be like online, but they'll be working somewhere and they'll be even sleeping also sometimes, right? So this has given a lot of lesson for us. And this situation, while India has the experience of handling natural disasters like tsunamis, floods regularly, it has never been exposed to a pandemic like coronavirus. In such global pandemic, technology tools are vital weapons for effectively monitoring and controlling disease outbreaks, as humans simply cannot operate and match the scale and speed of what AI-powered machines can operate. So now, as the situation is demanding, again, there are the various platforms available, like other experts have mentioned, NPTEL, Coursera, Udemy, and all other platforms. We have to use it, and there are a lot of virtual labs are also available online, and we have to introduce all these virtual labs to the students to make the class interesting. That's it, sir, from my end.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your views on the current situation of education institutions. So we have a young leader here, Mr. Satish Chandra from Sri Vishnu Educational Society, who is the director of placements. Sir, I request you to share your views. So we can't hear you. Hello.
Sorry, I unmuted myself.
Okay.
So thanks to College Dunya for giving us this opportunity, and I'm such an elite dignitaries in the panel. Welcome to all of them. And so, I was, while the discussion is happening, I was in hindsight thinking, what would have happened if the pandemic struck, say, 3 years back? When the digital adoption or the mobile cellular phone adoption is much lesser, and the data availability to the common citizen in India is far less compared to what it is today or what it is 1 year back, right? So, while COVID happened, there are a lot of disruptions that happened. I would say, majority of the students had a cell phone, at least, if not a laptop, available at home, where they could listen to a class, where they could access to a virtual lab, or where they could have access to a lot of videos and learning content that is available out there, right? So, what is our journey? So, Sri Vishnu Education Society has 11 institutions. 4 are engineering colleges, 2 pharmacy colleges, a dental college, pure sciences college, and a diploma college, and 2 schools. Okay, so we are spread in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Our digital journey started much earlier. So we have a centralized institution called Vedic. It's called Vishnu Education Development and Innovation Center. Why we started? We started it because we felt that the professional education is taught by educators who are not educators. They are engineers, they are doctors, they are management graduates, but they don't understand the emotions of a student. They're not trained to educate, right? They are there as a professional, and they are teaching subject content which is well received for generations. So however, today's generation is different, and we have students who are not a homogeneous set, who are not coming through a set which is giving you a kindly identical set of students. Okay, so you need to, if a teacher has to engage, he has to understand the emotion of the student. Try to engage with each one of them personally in the given space of 1 hour. So that's why this Vedic came into picture. We thought we should train our faculty, and we should give them more tools and technology, how to enable or how to make student as the centerpiece of education, right? So a major piece it has been how our educators, how our faculty can be digitally savvy. Okay, so this happened 3 years back. We've been utilizing many digital tools like the video conferencing solutions that were mentioned, then the LMS platforms, and the MOOC courses that have been available. And then we are also how we can gamify whole thing. The faculty have been trying to use solutions like Kahoot or Mentimeter or Socrative. These are all out there, which are freely available. So they are effectively trained. So when pandemic happened, in a sense, it's not a jolt to us. We are kind of there, so faculty were naturally adapted to the situation. They started utilizing the video conferencing tools or the LMS platforms more effectively, and started delivering content, right? And it is well appreciated by students. Of course, today we are talking about not the teacher being available online and teaching them, and we are talking about how we can solve the digital fatigue of students, right? So so much of digital time, so much of screen time, how we can reduce, how can we make it more effective for students. Yeah, so those are initial comments from me. Over to you. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing your views with us. And we have Dr. Samiruddin, who is a director and serving as a director of 6 colleges from Sri Datta Group of Education Institutions. Sir Samiruddin, sir, I request you to share your views on the current situation.
Thank you, College Dunia and its team, for giving me this opportunity to speak on a very overrated kind of topic, which is moving around all the universities and colleges as a debate, as a discussion, as webinars. So I would like to present a holistic view about the great disruption that has happened in the educational field or sector. As a academician, I have something personal to share with you all, and I would like to share it because it is related with every one of you here. I started preaching this Bloom's taxonomy, collaborative learning, flipped classes in colleges in the year 2009. And I did not get much break or success into it. Thanks to pandemic, there was a quantum leap push in the online learning. What I could not do in 11 years, it was possible in just 1 year. The kind of motivation I had imparted in the faculty, the kind of push I had given, it was not bringing that success to me. But with this pandemic that has acted as a catapult and has given an external push to digital learning, what could not have been achieved in 11 years has been achieved just in 2 months. I should say heartfelt thanks to all the education sectors, the educationists particularly, because they made sure that in spite of this pandemic, in spite of the hardships, they rose to the occasion and made sure that none of the student miss his or her education. That's a great kind of change I have seen. Of course, we have disrupting technologies like we were speaking about IML, we were speaking about AR, VR, we were speaking about IoT, cyber security, all these years. But with this digital transformation, all these disruptive technologies has come into play. What was only a talk in the boardrooms about adopting AI/ML or shall we go for AR, VR, 3D printing, after March 2020, the talk of the technology was seen as happening in the colleges. Of course, I agree with the panelists, there is a negative aspect of it, but the kind of adoption of technology I have seen among the students is tremendous. Faculty definitely were not acquainted with this technology, and that's the reason it took some time for them, and still they are learning. So, as such, I can say that there is a quantum leap push in the digital learning, and this will stay even after the pandemic.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing your view on the current situation of colleges and institutes amidst COVID-19. So, as we know that because of this COVID pandemic, we had to use the technology in terms of providing education to the student. But what do you think during the current times and then post COVID? Now and then we have COVID situation, but once we have all the people across India got vaccinated and this got settled. And what do you think then the role of technology and innovation in higher education? How is it required, and what do you think, and to what extent it is required, the role of technology and innovation in higher education especially? So,
see this.
Yeah.
Is this question directed to me, sir?
So I request Sri Lakshmi ma'am to share her views on the same.
Yeah. Actually, the question itself is having an answer. Means whatever we are doing right now, it is also an answer for that.
Yes.
Actually, if at all, it wasn't post-COVID era. If it was a pre-COVID, people would have come to an interview and taken an interview, and we would have arranged a panel like offline, and we would have met somewhere and had this discussion. Because of this post-COVID, whatever the technology is there, which wasn't used all these days, that was there, but it haven't came into the use, active use. Actually, to be very sincere, conducting, because we used to, our college, we are collaborated with some more international universities. We are into MOU with international universities, and we used to conduct ICMSCA, that is International Conference on Math, Science, Engineering Applications. So because of this pandemic, we weren't able to do that. So making use of the technology which is there, we named it to be GWEST. I will just share the slide also. So what we did is, it was a global webinar. Instead of this seminars and all, we named it because it should be named to be like that. And we conducted this. Just I can upload this one so that you also can also view this. So the participation of the international guests has become very easy, to be frank, because we used to have 10 from Philippines, 5 or 6 from Bangladesh, and 1 or 2 from Australia. Like this we used to have. But when we started this quest, the response from all over was tremendous, because there was no physical presence. It was all this. Can you see the slide? Can you all view the slide?
Yes, ma'am. We can see that.
Yeah, see that. Yeah. So this initiative, we took it in December 2020, and it had been a very, very successful one. Without technology, it wouldn't have been happened. So as Sameeruddin here, I think. Sorry if I have misspelled your name here. So as he was telling, there is a drastic change which we also wanted our students to get onto online, because whenever we have some doubt sessions, physically they attending on Sundays, the days when the college will not be working, will be a tedious process for them. So we wanted them to be there on the online platform.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt.
Used to get into it. Yeah.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Others, will you please, mute yourself?
There is some disturbance, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, continue, ma'am. Please continue.
Yeah. So we used to ask the students, why don't you connect online so that you can clarify your doubts? So that attendance was out of 60 in a class, there used to be 10 or 20. Now, because of this pandemic, they learned to be online, and maybe it might be an exaggeration of the thing, but nowadays students are being interested to have online classes, because after online we are having those student groups will be there, where after this LMS, learning mechanism system and all, in this LMS, whatever the doubts have been there for the students, we are making it to be FAQs, and we are maintaining a database of it, and which are being answered by the faculty members, which is making them very easy. And another advantage which we are getting from these online sessions is, we are having a recorded version of the class which wasn't available previously. So whenever the teacher is teaching, even the students can record it with a screen recorder also. They can record it and they can listen if they can't understand at that point of time, and which is benefiting the students a lot, because it is the feedback which we are getting from the students. Generally, after a class, they have to take on their own, or they can just go through the notes which the teacher have given them, but they can't just play the class again. Now it is being very beneficial for the student who can't understand it, means who is not a fast learner, especially, whom we always take, give a special fee to them, and means we have the focus, all the focus will be there on the student, so that they should be in the flying colors. That task has been very easy because of this technology, and putting aside all these financial things, and some of the means 10 to 20% of the students, because of this because all our under BPL students are there who doesn't have a proper smartphone also, they are facing a problem. But rest all, it has been a boon for the education system. In other words, I am done, Srikanth.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So, I request the panelists to speak on the same. Any of you can, continue discussing on the same. The importance of the role of technology in higher education. Sir Govardhan, sir, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Srikanth.
Yes, sir.
The technical education innovations, whatever we have, they have to be properly utilized. And to use it properly, you need to ensure that the connectivity of the students exists. That's only possible when you inculcate into the minds of the students that they should develop a passion for online learning. That's only possible because your faculty members, they have been trained well, as it has been said by one of the panelist members, elite panelist members, that the pedagogy what they have been applying during the online, face-to-face interaction in the classroom should be changed in such a way that it should develop interest among the students. Now there are students, urban students, and the students from remote places and the districts, etc. They have their own share of problems, maybe network solutions or otherwise gadgets what they are using or other kind of problems. But we need to ensure that our efforts, our measures taken for online teaching should be fruitful, and we must see the reflections from the students. Thereby we understand that they are self-driven. In case if they are self-driven, well, the fruits of online teaching will be realized by everybody. And here one more thing, that the institutions as well as the universities, they have to maintain, and they have been doing that their communication with their affiliated colleges and their concerned other colleges that are existing. So thereby we will be in a position to get some kind of useful information from the universities and also from our at-par institutions. So coming to the point that if we can have a center of excellence for some kind of courses, like let's say the third years or final years, every branch must have a center of excellence for a few subjects at a particular time. The students should be well intimated well in advance, thereby their doubts, if anything, they are not in a position to understand, grasp or retain during the online mode of teaching, can be taken up during that time. Thereby they would be in a position to clarify their doubts, and so much of time is available with them at home during this pandemic situation. They can make use of that additional time available so they can come out with the flying colors. I think this. Thank you, Srikanth. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thanks for sharing your views. So, I request any of you discuss on the same topic. Would like to add? I request any of you to add some points to it.
Yeah, Srikanth.
So this.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on, sir.
Yeah, please.
The technology is helping a lot for the education system. But the thing is, as one of the panelists mentioned, rightly pointed out, those who are self-driven and those who are very much interested, and this is a very good platform to continue even after the post-pandemic also. And it will be a platform where doubts can be resolved, and anytime 5 to 6 also we can have a session, and we can have a doubts resolution sessions also. But the thing is, again, the input, the students, those who are very much interested, it's going fine in the right direction actually. And the students, those who are below average and very poor, and it is very difficult to pull them to a level where we are expecting. So that's a thing where we have to think on also. So that's my opinion in this. We have started even in the first year itself. We have started actually even online classes. We took a challenge of we have introduced IoT in the first year itself. The first semester, we have introduced IoT, and thanks to the pandemic and maybe because of online tools like Tinkercad and all, we were able to continue with that, and the students are excited with that. And such type of excitement and such type of platforms, maybe the content is there, then definitely we can pull it up to a level where we are expecting. Over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. So, panelists, would any of you want to share some views on it, or should I continue with the next question?
Actually, Shrikant,
yes, ma'am.
You have made it to be some agenda and questions, but
whatever
we are speaking, it is becoming an overall thing. We can't do because talking need to be as a topic by topic. It's not
correct.
Because that completely is an overall package. All the questions come at once. And another thing which was advantageous because of this is because we all have connections all over the world. So what is the main problem when we invite a person for a seminar is, previously pre-COVID, it was all the logistics, availability, transportation, their time availability, and connecting all this used to be a tough task even to have a seminar from an elite member. Now, because I think we have conducted at least 12 to 15 as such, 12 to 15, the speakers who weren't available offline, very tough to be available offline, we made the seminars to be online because we need the student, whatever another member has mentioned, the digital fatigue. Because if we go on telling them the classes, they will be exhausted some more and they might not be interested. Self-driven, they will be having interest, but all the students will not be the same. So to cut down the digital fatigue and also impart some new things into their brains and some interesting topics, maybe out of the box, which they will be interested in, like ethical hacking and all, they are interested. So we conducted some seminars online, which was very beneficial for the students because the speakers or the elite persons were from all the parts of the world, which was not an possible task when, if at all, we wanted to conduct it on offline. Because of this, the technology we have developed and immersed with so many innovations, that had been very easy, like to be frank, a cakewalk. So that the number of audience wasn't a constraint, because normally the number of audience would have been a constraint in general, which isn't a constraint when we are going online. So this was another advantage which I got, and I wasn't able to mention it earlier in my thing. That's why I was abstracting anyways. Sorry for that.
Yeah.
Can it take a minute?
Yes, sir, definitely. Why not?
Yeah, it is necessary to understand that every technological aspect have a positive angle as well as a negative angle.
Correct.
Sometimes the positive angles also turn negative, and sometimes negative things also turn positive. Okay, this is quite natural. It happens with whether discovery of atom or you name it, whatever, it happens. Now, luckily, roughly about 4 years back, we actually started implementing so many new methods of upgrading our laboratories, establishing new centers of excellences. And we had a large number of students who are from other nations, almost a dozen nations we had. So we had to actually upgrade our infrastructure to that level. 4 years back itself, we have all the classrooms fitted with projectors. Then we trained all the faculty with the best of the of the country from like IITs. So these things we collect.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, I think there is network issue from
Can I speak, sir?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So I would just like to elaborate on the role of technology. Let us go topic-wise because I think somehow we are getting distracted. So first thing is, I would like to state that the interactive part or the interactivity part has increased a lot with online education, because in the normal face-to-face classrooms where the faculty and the student used to have a face-to-face interaction, there was fear of being judged in the students. They would not speak much. But because there is no face-to-face interaction and the student doesn't know who are the others who are, listening to him or her, students have become a little bit more extrovert in speaking up, in coming up with problems, in coming up with their requests to the faculty for solutions. Secondly, second most important thing what I found is the transparency of teaching quality is one big factor that has affected, because earlier everybody in the panel will agree that there was a black box kind of a mechanism. What would happen in the classroom between the teacher and the faculty was not known to the outside world. Today, it's like keeping the teacher in the glass box and the entire world is looking across. You might have experienced that even the parents have become students now. So this kind of change in the paradigm or this kind of change in the classroom teaching has made the teachers more conscious, and because of that, the preparation they have to do or the effort they have to put has increased, and there has come a quality in it. Now, online examination is another, important disruption that has happened. Earlier, we had a fear that if we implement online examination, there is a chance that students might cheat or there might be a kind of, malpractice. But as I said in the beginning, that the disruptive technologies, the input of this Industry 4.0 into education has brought a lot of, progress. Now there are proctored examination softwares where AI comes into picture. Now any student who even nods his head will be noticed by the software. He cannot search on the screen to copy. He cannot open the mobile to see the content. So this is a very good thing that has come in the digital learning sector. And one more good thing is that analytics have come into the picture now. Let us say, for example, a faculty conducts a test for, say, for example, 200 students. Now, it was very difficult to find that how many students did not answer a particular question. With the developed LMS, it's possible to get those analytics now that which question has not been answered by majority of the students. And a corrective measure can be done after getting such analytics. So these are the few, major advantages that has been brought by disruption in online education. Challenges are, of course, there, like persistent digital divide is very big challenge. Our students in the rural areas are unable to catch up. They are unable to attend the classes. My suggestion is that we have solutions for those, or we have answers for those challenges and problems. There are faculty who use Google Classroom to store their video lectures so that when the student comes in a zone where the internet connectivity is stronger, he can download and see it. Or we can have a medium quality of video lectures that can be accessible even in the poor connectivity, or at least audio can be sent. Now there is a student engagement problem. Faculty are unable to engage the students for 1 hour. So this is again a bigger challenge. There were parents who came and told me that, sir, our son or daughter plays video games and they don't listen to the lecture. So there is a solution for this. Again, technology will come to our rescue. Gamification is a big, name that is coming into picture. And you will not believe the demand for gamification has increased to a height where it has created a $11 billion market. So, as you all are aware, that the focus or attention of the student has also decreased. Earlier it was 20 minutes, now it has come down to 7 minutes or 8 minutes. So you cannot keep the student focused for 1 hour class. Now what we can do here is, we can have a 7 minutes of class, then we can have a distraction in between, like icebreaker session, where we can have a quiz, and again then we have a 7 minutes of class. So this also can be countered. The engagement part also can be countered. So as Madam rightly said, that it was very difficult for mediocre kind of colleges or colleges which are not able to invest a lot of money in foreign professors to come over here and give lectures. Globalization or global connectivity is one of the big advantages we have got. There are universities which have conducted 200 plus lectures by inviting eminent foreign professors or academic personalities and conducting all those lectures. Lab has become a very big challenge, because engineering colleges particularly cannot be imagined without labs. Now with this advent of AR, augmented reality, there are universities which has adopted this technology to even conduct labs using the augmented reality, virtual reality. Hologram is a kind of technology which is coming up, where one teacher can be at multiple locations. Robotics has come into picture, where robot will teach languages to the students. So these are the new things that has come up. I think we are very fortunate to be in this era where we see generations of being skipped. Otherwise, it would have taken a long time for bringing all this to the academia or education institutions, which has happened so fast. It's a kind of accelerated transformation. So with all the challenges, with all advantages, I feel that even after the pandemic is over, online teaching will be there. But of course, there were some kind of worries among the faculty that whether teachers will be replaced by technology. I am very happy to say that the teaching community cannot be replaced, because machines or robotics can give them the 24/7 availability. They can give answers to all the queries. But teacher doesn't alone give knowledge to students. Teacher gives ethics, values, interaction to the students. And visiting a campus is different than sitting at home and learning, because visiting to the campus, the overall personality of the student will develop with peer interactions. So I think that a hybrid model may be coming into picture in future, and there might be a kind of arrangement where 2 days a student may come to the college and 3 days he may be doing the online teaching. So this has brought even digital libraries accessible remotely. Online admissions are happening, and College Dunia has become suddenly a relevant kind of concept. Earlier, College Dunia and College Dekho kind of people used to convince a lot to the management to get entry and to get subscription. But today, I think you have become the need of the hour. It's not possible for us to go and campaign outside. But with platform like College Dunia, I think a lot can be done. Virtual interviews are conducted, and even offer letters are sent in the form of e-offer letter, and online internships have come. And I think that pandemic, with due respect to all those families who have lost their near ones, I cannot say it is a boon or it's a blessing in disguise, because we have the very big negative side also. But the positive side, what I see is that there is not much gap between Indian academia and the European and the US academia. We have come to that level now. So this is what the role of technology is, and technology has become now as oxygen to the academia, without which we cannot imagine a continuation of the education. So I think I have taken much time, because you kept me waiting for a long time. So I thought, let me grab this and do justice to my participation in this panel. Thank you so much.
Great. So you have discussed many, important points which we are missing out. And thanks for sharing us, sir. And also thanks for mentioning College Dunia, and also the need of College Dunia to colleges and all.
You are very much a very big component in digital transformation.
Yes, sir.
Can I come in?
Yes, sir, definitely.
See, I would like to, I mean, there's a lot that already
Discussed.
Mr. Samir and Madam and others have spoken. So, what it is for colleges, right, or the institution. I was talking to a cloud provider, and in India, there has been a 500% increase in cloud adoption.
But,
Okay, the institutions.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but I think our next question. So far, what we have discussed is the challenges and the problems we have faced during the current times. And the second point we have discussed is the role of technology and innovation in higher education. And the third point which we will be discussing is the one which you are about to discuss is the digital media transformation and how the colleges, institutes or universities are effectively utilizing it, and whether the colleges and the students are getting benefited out of it. So that is what the next question will be, and I guess you are about to discuss the same. So please continue with your discussion, sir. Please share your views on that.
Sure, I will close on what my perspective on the technology, and then quickly move to that.
Yeah.
So the technology investments have been very high earlier. If we have to talk about artificial intelligence, now every college has artificial intelligence course or data sciences course. So if you have to create that kind of infrastructure and an investment towards a crore of rupees or a couple of crores of rupees were required. But with the cloud adoption, now it is available at no cost. You are paying as you use it. So with a lot of technology being made available by the cloud providers like Amazon or Google, and many of them are also freely giving certain credits to students. So that way, to the core engineering, obviously, if you have a mechanical engineering, if you want to bring a airline turbine, which is not there. I mean, if you go to Singapore, an ITI equivalent of ITI has a turbine engine sitting there where students can touch and feel or do things. So like Mr. Samir had mentioned, the AR, of course, it is not there, but there are startups which are working. There's a Hyderabad-based startup called Imaginate. They work with Rolls-Royce and kind of companies. They are oil and gas companies where they provide that kind of solution where they, the employees of such companies get trained on virtual models. And same thing can be adopted to even institutions at a very, very low cost. So I will now move forward to the third question. So digital media transformation. So I would say, of course, we started using College Dunia as an institution or as a group. However, our digital awareness, how have been presented our institutions on digital media, like you have Googles and Facebooks and all these mediums which are now this generation of students. In fact, Instagram, they use a different platforms. No longer they use Facebooks. So how you present the institutions and captivate their interest in our institution, right? So obviously we have to keep communicating what we are doing, what kind of good work that is going on in the institution. We have to create blogs where our students write what they are doing, which is what we have been doing. In a way to encourage. This is also a skill building exercise. So the writing as such is very poor among the students and even to a certain extent the faculty. So how do you really encourage them and motivate them? So when they are younger, whatever the small tasks that they do, if they start putting them online, your digital presence also is growing, and students really know what you are as an institution. You're not really trying to paint a picture with a glorified visual media advertisements, but you have a lot of digital assets that are created by your own students' work. Your projects being put on online, students' work. That is a great repository. If somebody is going there, they see so much of work being put out. So we started using something called Course Network. It is a Arjuna University-based platform. It's a collaboration between us and them. And we want all our faculty to create faculty pages and talk about what kind of research they are doing, what papers they are publishing. Of course, it is all there in Google Scholar and other mediums, but they are not accessible to a 12th class student. When they come to our website, when they Google what is our institution name, how much is present that is available to them in various forms and mediums. We have to communicate. That is my picture. What is the activity that we are running? If we are able to put out in digital form and make it accessible to outside community, that talks a lot of sense to people. And these are facts. These are not created mediums.
Right. Srinivas Rao, could you please share your thoughts on how MLR group of institutions have adopted digital technology and being digital media got transformed very well now, and it is very much required nowadays. So what do you think? What kind of technologies you have adopted, and what are the modes of digital promotion for college, and then what do you think the students and colleges got benefited? How do you think they got that?
Yeah, Srikanth, as already mentioned by the other panelists, so earlier, just before March 2020, we didn't thought of this much of a digital presence. But this pandemic has shown us a lot of maybe in different domains and different areas, like even in the education system and in the college wise. And suddenly, from so and so date, you need to start with online classes. So everyone is fingers crossed, and they are not able to adapting to the platforms like Zoom, Google Meet, and how to start, where to share, and how to do that. All that, a lot of discussion went on, and it has given a lot of lessons for every one of us. And as an institution, within no time, just within 1-2 months, so now everyone have adopted to the technology, and everyone gained the knowledge out of this. And later point of time, then how these things should reach out to the students. So now there is no situation to the parents and students will come to the college and see the how the infrastructure and how the things are happening. So everything is logged. And then what is the media then? Then we thought of College Dunia and other platforms and other things. And College Dunia has helped us a lot in reaching out to the many students. So that is how again we have started with how to reach out to the students and the parents, those who are looking at our college. And then we started with a lot of things like social media presence, like Instagram, Facebook, and all. We would like to use all that digital platforms to reach out to the beneficiary, to reach out to the student. So that is how we started the journey, and now we are successful in making even labs also, virtual labs that we are doing, and it helps us to connect complete globe. So what not, we can connect with the globe anywhere. You can have a connect with anybody outside the country.
Right. Thank you, sir. Sir Govardhan, sir, over to you. Samskriti College of Engineering and Samskriti College of Pharmacy. What do you think? what should be the digital strategy for the college, and which you have already adapted past 13 to 14 months?
Yeah, let me tell you. The topic number 3 and topic number 4, digital media transformation and effective utilization by colleges, institutions and universities, and how has the digital awareness benefited colleges, institutes and universities?
Almost the rest of the 4 points are interrelated, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So I would like to address both them together.
Correct. That would be better.
You as well as for us.
Yes.
So actually, this digital transformation has immensely benefited not only the universities, the colleges, and also the schools. Let me talk something about the schools. We know about the Byju's. They started in 2011. Now it has become a household name all over the world. You just see their gross turnover, it runs into crores of rupees. Forget about the financial thing. Now you find everywhere the people are aspiring to buy the Byju's technology. And not only that, apart from Byju's technology, there are White Hat Junior and many more others. They are coming into this. This is only possible because of this digital media transformation where the online coaching can take place. Surprisingly, though I am so old and though I am computer savvy, but sometimes I find some hiccups in dealing with these digital aged things. But to my surprise, my grandson, who is 3 years old, he started learning his alphabets on an online education mode. Just see what kind of transformation those many years to now. So, in no time, he is able to be friendly with not only the computer, with the telephonic gadgets, or with smartphones, this and that, etc. So, this transformation is giving a kind of interest into the students, thereby they are sticking to that. Yes, there is something to learn. So, there's a kind of anxiety, a kind of interest which one develops, then naturally the transformation users can be taken for granted about that. Now let's talk about the colleges and universities. In my college, say for an example, earlier for these CRT courses, the campus recruitment training courses, the company specific program courses, right from first year onwards, we have been adapting these courses for the students, whereby step by step, they would be, taken into such a way that they'll be comfortably in a position to face the interviews. So my faculty member had training placement, is so active, and she runs from pillar to post to bring online courses and train the students and interact with the students and get the companies. Recently, some of the students, they were recruited under Accenture. It's only possible because of the online. So now what's happening during the pandemic condition, that the classroom teaching has been completely replaced by the online mode. So now the CRT classes and the company specific program classes and other kind of things, everything, even the examinations were taken online. So not only the colleges, universities, everywhere there is some benefit from this transformation. And coming to the awareness benefited to the college and how digital awareness. So everyone, not only the students, even the big people also, they are aware about the digital transformation. And I believe that, it is for the management, it is for the head of the institutions to ensure that the proper gadgets are otherwise, the proper digital equipment, proper infrastructure, the proper connectivity should exist in the classes or in the universities, in the colleges, thereby definitely that can be used by the students and they will be benefiting student community, and not only that, you will be in a position to create your own brand name for the college. So these are my personal views about these two things.
So what kind of digital strategy do Samskriti College or Samskriti Group utilize to increase the number of admissions or to increase the reach of the college to students and parents? What kind of digital strategies are you using? Maybe you cannot share everything over here, but
I'm coming to that, and I'm thinking that even a student perspective and our perspective views and the management perception. Yes, College, you have been in touch with us since many years, and you have been doing a tremendous job. We were immensely benefited by your this indulgence in our admissions, and not only that, as one of the panelists said, the social media is playing a vital role in this one.
Correct.
And as during the pandemic, we cannot just interact with schools or colleges or elsewhere else, but we are in a position to see that information can be disseminated, it can be shared with the senior boys to their juniors, and same way website can be uploaded. And also earlier it used to be like that, some special columns of the colleges, and we used to give advertisement, but that's not possible now, and maybe possible sometimes in case they ask it. And also, yes, the electronic media is available for that, to make your admissions very good, so that you can give advertisements over there. Many of the institutions, they are following that, so we have been doing that. And earlier we had been participating in that what do you call this college
colleges meet.
Yeah, colleges meet, etc. There we had been participating and hosted by TV9 and CAB, etc. And there used to be a big advantage for that, and we were drawing mileage from that. Now the thing is that we need to overcome this situation and find out alternate methods to improve our admissions. Of course, likely people are there for that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And sir, Prasad sir, Godavari group of institutions, and you Godavari group and College Dunia are associated for quite a long time now. Other than what kind of services provided by College Dunia to you, what kind of digital strategy did Guide Group adopt to reach out to students and to increase the admissions? Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, you are on mute.
Yeah. I will address your question in two ways. One which is applicable to all colleges across the nation, and one which is specific to my group of institutions.
Yes, sir.
As far as my group of institutions is concerned, we already have the physical infrastructure set up, like we have projectors in all the classrooms. We train the faculty members, and then we have set up very good centers of excellences. At physical level, it is fine, but getting it online is really difficult. So very interestingly, our faculty members, because they were using projectors, they were already ready with making very good material. Now the problem is, not only here, across the country, if you see the number of colleges, they are not ready with this kind of even projection system. Okay, even look at the Bloom's taxonomy and other concepts. These things are taught in other nations in their LKG, UKG and schooling. We are putting efforts in India to teach these things, impart these things to faculty members in engineering colleges. You look at where we are. So there is a huge gap over here which need to be addressed by everybody. Some serious thought has to be given. And then the roles of faculty members is also fast changing, from lecturing to content writing and digital media workers. They are now expected to prepare course contents, presentations, and do editing of audio and video recordings. Well, this may not work very well on a long run, as their focus will shift from domain technology to new content development, video editing, etc. type of jobs. Even at physical level, most institutions are not ready. Forget about smart boards and other aids, but even the basic things are not available at this stage. So definitely there are got to be problems, and the faculty members must be trained on making effective presentations, not only creating PPTs, but also speaking and presenting them physically and online. Okay, this is one of the essential requirements these days. Only some of the leading institutions, they leverage such features across the nation. Very interestingly, the recent NEP, National Education Policy 2020, has brought in a complete chapter on this concept on technology-enabled learning, where concepts like one nation, one learning platform like things have been propounded. So, luckily we have, and because we have even students coming from almost a dozen countries and almost 14 states of India, we have to upgrade ourselves. We have no other option. And we are doing it for the last almost 4.5, 5 years now. And this has given us an advantage. We became the NAAC A+ accreditation institution first in the state of Andhra Pradesh. This has helped us a lot. So we have to ultimately go for higher quality. But at the same stage, we are trying to catch good students who have their laptops with them. But what about those students who have no infrastructure, children of marginal workers, laborers, agricultural coolies? Where do they go? This is a major problem. They are not able to really attend classes. They find it really difficult because of their financial background. So the local governments, in addition to the fee reimbursement, must also consider something like providing some subsidy on laptops or tabs, or maybe there could be a statewide network where they offer cheaper internet services to the student community, to schools as well as to the colleges and universities also. So this kind of things will help a lot for the nation, for the state. So these are very, very important. And somehow we are not thinking about that. We have seen 2 rounds of COVID epidemic wave. We are yet to see the third one. And hopefully people are predicting it to be more serious. So what are we preparing for that? I think the ball is not set rolling in this direction. It is very necessary for all of us to think in that direction. So, for example, I keep suggesting students, most of them, they are financially good. Almost 70-80% of them are really good. But they don't have a laptop, they have a mobile. I tell them very clearly, mobile is a computing device, whereas a laptop or a computer is a computing device. Your screen is bigger, the memory is more, you can load software like AutoCAD or Oracle or any such thing. Whereas these things you cannot do on a mobile. It is only for, talking hello, nothing beyond that. So they can't download the presentations, they can't download the study material. They are understanding, but they can't do anything else. They can't submit assignments, they can't do even virtual labs, nothing is possible. So even considering and encouraging the students to go for smart phones is not really a good idea. This is what we strongly feel. And very luckily, we can see in some branches like computer sciences, electronics, and some branches, mechanical, really almost 80% students have it, 75 to 80% they are able to attend. Whereas in some branches like civil or maybe in EEE, yes, there are students who are lacking that, and many of them, even though they have laptops, they say it is in my village, somehow now because of lockdown, I cannot go there, I can't use it. So this kind of issues have come up. Okay, so virtual labs is one of the big things. We are going to train them, give lectures for the entire semester. But what about labs? Experiential learning is missing. And we are going to see this impact not now. When they go out after 4 or 5 years, you will see there's going to be a major impact on the nation, its economy. This is the most worrying thing which everybody has to know. And we need to be thinking in this direction. Other things I think everybody knows. All problems related to internet, about not having mobiles, all these things everybody knows. But we have to see about the future. Maybe 6, 7, 10, 15 years from now, where are we going? If the pandemic continues, what is the backup method we have? Currently, I also believe that students need one-to-one attention, more personal attention. Having a class of 60, 70 students and sometimes merging 2, 3, 4 sections together, having 300 students, it will not really work. Neither we will know their names, we will not even able to do any justice, we just give our lecture and go. I think that is also not a right measure. Maybe having a classes of a smaller strength, maybe 20, 25, 30, talking to them, bringing them nearer to us, counseling them on various issues. So these are the methods which are necessary in the current scenario. I think all these items are being missed somewhere. So I'm trying to present you, project you in a different dimension, and most critical for all of the students, community, and teaching fraternity. Yes, please. Over to you.
Yes, sir. Samiruddin, sir. So, what do you think? You are supervising 6 colleges under Sridatta Group of Institutions. And then what kind of digital strategy Sridatta has adopted, and what do you suggest to the other institutions during the current times to increase the number of admissions or to increase the reach of the colleges? What do you suggest?
Thank you for giving me a chance, sir. See, we already had made our digital presence 10 years back. We were into digital marketing. We are very well aware that today's generation will not opt for anything unless and until they Google about that thing on internet. So if you just ask a 10th standard or a school boy to purchase something and you want to say that you buy this or that, you will find on Google what is the price of that, what is the quality of that, what are the reviews on that. So when it comes to selecting a college, they can be more research oriented. So the digital transformation has brought so many technologies being accessible to the students that they can go to various platforms like Glassdoor, they can go to various platforms to find out the comparative analysis of colleges. So internet as such or digital marketing as such has played a vital role from the beginning. But earlier it was like, a luxury for some colleges. It has now become a necessity. And we are very well utilizing Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We are using YouTube for putting all our videos and all, so that we can showcase to the students what kind of infrastructure we have, what quality of lectures we have. But along with this come a lot of threats. So there should be a strong reputation management that should be employed by all the colleges and universities and organizations. Rival colleges, your enemies may try to tarnish you. The kind of image which you have built from all these years may be 1 second gone. So reputation management plays a vital role, and people are not thinking about it. We should learn how to use digital media, digital awareness from the political parties, because elections have been won on this kind of technologies. So it is an ecosystem, and it involves so many technologies, so many platforms, and unless and until we make very careful use of these technologies to showcase for PR, I think that thing may go otherwise also. But if you see the positive side, this has become a new norm now. You cannot go outside and campaign about your college. You can only use the digital media, the digital awareness mechanisms, the social media platforms to showcase yourself. So I think it's the 12th year now. We are associated with multiple agencies. We have College Dekho, College Dunia, Ignify. They are working for us. And I think in the coming 1 year or 2 years, these platforms at least will have a vital role to play in assisting the colleges to get the branding or the positioning in the market and attracting good admissions. So I think every college has to now adopt this, whether it's pandemic or no pandemic. Digital presence always matters, because the generation today is having mobile as an extension of their body. It's not just a kind of gadget. So let us reach the generation where they are available, and digital media can be the best source for reaching them, showcasing what we are doing, what difference we are making in the quality of education, and attracting the best talent. So rest all, I think we have already discussed about digital learning. Since last 4 or 5 topics were based upon digital media, I think this is what is my opinion and my suggestion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, and thanks for joining us here today, sir. Samiruddin, sir, I request you to conclude this webinar and give us an overview of what we have discussed so far with the presentation which you have prepared for us, which is ready with us to share it with the panelists and with the audience. So I request you to give us an overview of what we have discussed so far.
So I had a very comprehensive plan actually where I wanted to discuss about the use of technology in the pre-pandemic era. So as all the panelists have been saying that we were using LMS earlier, we were using flipped classes, we were using recorded lectures, but all these were there. The impetus on these technologies have been, put only when the pandemic came into picture. We were not actually ready for taking this pandemic face to face or long the horns with it. But I think the technologies which existed have taken a bigger picture now. And I wanted to speak about the effect of pandemic on learning, which almost all the topics I've discussed. Now let us come to the advantages and challenges. If you can see that we have issues related with online grading, online examination, online assignments. So you can now have a threat like plagiarism check and similarity index. Now this again, the new LMS have come along with such kind of facilities where the faculty can now very easily find out whether the assignment is genuine or copied. And already I've spoken about digital libraries and online admissions. College Dunia kind of platform can do a lot in assisting the colleges to get the right admissions. When it comes to placements, which I have not covered, I think Satish Garu is a authority in that. I have been seeing him dedicatedly working in this sector. He will agree with me if I say that jobs will be reduced in future in the next few years, because workforce will be operating remotely at least for another 2 years, and there will be core skills changing, like what we have today. It may not be in future. So global business will accelerate digitization. So I think we need to put students into a kind of syllabi or curriculum where they learn data analytics, they learn AI/ML, they learn cloud computing, because as one of the panelists said, that universities which are investing huge amount of money on infrastructure, they are using cloud for protection. They are using cloud for putting all the resources, and with that comes a threat to the data, and where cyber security comes into picture. So we can now make the students focus on these technologies, AR, VR, 3D printing, AI/ML, data science, cloud computing, mobile computing, and one of the important factor is cyber security here. So these will be the new kind of technologies which will taking a bigger shape. And if we try to train our students in these technologies and prepare them in this technology, I think they will have a better future. So another thing which I wanted to say is that when it comes to learning the technologies, one of the panelists told that laptops and mobiles are being used by the students to watch online classes, and they can't afford it. And one of the panelists were telling that government should come to the approach. Yes, definitely. In Uttarakhand, the government is distributing tablets to 12th standard students, and there is a talk in the industry to redesign or redefine the gadgets that is poorly or particularly meant for online classes. So even the digital learning hardware ecosystem may change in future. So this is what the technology will bring to the table of the educationists. And technology, as I said, will not replace the teachers. Technology can be a great tool for the teachers, and it cannot be for the replacement. Multiple modes of learning will come into picture. The national education policy can be implemented easily by using this blended learning or hybrid model. Flipped classes will take a new kind of shape altogether, where students can learn the theory at their home and come and practice in the college. Customization of education may happen in future because we are having a blanket kind of education for all the students. Now time has come where the market will become the online teaching, or the online learning portals will become customer driven. Student will have a demand for, I want to learn this course, only this modules. So there will be customization in education coming in future. We have to look upon. Robotics will take a bigger picture because robot will assist in learning. Interactive 3D learning will be happening. And gamification already I have told. And this slide particularly can tell you how the digital transformation is the markets in the economy altogether. If you can see the first bullet, digital transformation have grown from something less than 10% to 44% from 2019 to 2020, and you can see that it has developed a market of $1.96 billion. It was earlier $0.23 billion. Now the market has been widened to $1.96 billion. That will be what edtech companies will be reaping the benefits in future. And you can see even the paid users of online courses has increased from 1.6 to 1.9 million. And you will be happy to know that 97% increase is seen in India alone for opting these online courses. Now today you can see each student has on his credit 10 to 15 certificates which he has earned out of learning on Coursera and EDX kind of platform. Gamification has developed a big market. So if you can introduce this course of gamification in the curriculum and make the students future ready, there is a big market of $11 billion. So this is what how the markets have affected, how the economy has affected, and the digital transformation was a subject taught 10 years back. I am one of the student of that course. I got a certification from ISB on digital transformation, and I used to think that will all this happen in the Indian scenario? And it took only 2 months of time to make me see that this is what will happen in future. So ultimately, I can say that as academicians, we have a bigger role to play, and with all the use of blended learning or hybrid learning, ultimately we should see that the end beneficiary, which is the student, should be at the larger benefit. This is one thing I want to say. Other thing is it was a very nice session, and all the wise panelists have contributed a lot to the discussion, and I am really privileged to be a part of it. So I hope that such kind of panel discussion happen, where awareness can be increased among the students and the parents about the current education scenario. Because one very good change has come in the parents' mindset. They say that when you are conducting online classes, why should we pay the fees? So for offline classes, you should ask for the fee, but for online classes, why you are asking for the fees? So this is the kind of mindset that has developed in the parents. So I think this kind of awareness, the input of technology in the education requires investment also, and we should tell the parents that after all, it's the human beings which are running the classes. Online classes are not automated, run by robots. So the faculty who are conducting these classes, they have a family. They need money to survive. So that is a change we need to bring. Even the mindset of the faculty. Lot has been disrupted. Even the mindset also is disrupted. So with this, a few words I want to conclude, and I wish all of you a very safe life, and please stay protected. Please be safe. God bless you and your families. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Samir, sir. In fact, we at me as an individual level and as a team of College Dunia are glad that you people are here as a panelist, as a speaker on discussing on a particular topic. And unfortunately, because of the current times, we could not able to meet you in person. But all together, we could able to meet on a single platform put together. This is a rare chance we get a time to meet all of you people together.
So you see the change, that different streams of videos are coming in a single frame.
Correct.
That is the beauty of technology. That's the beauty of technology.
And
thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Samir, sir, for presenting us and giving an overview of the entire discussion which took place today. And thank you, Srinivasa Rao, sir, Principal of MLR Institute of Technology, and thank you, Dr. T.V. Prasad, sir, Director of the Godavari Group of Institutions, and thank you, Dr. Govardhan, sir, Principal of Samskriti College of Engineering and Technology, and last, thank you, Satish Chandra, sir, Director of Sri Vishnu Education Society. Thank you very much, sir. And fortunately, due to the poor internet connection, Sri Lakshmi ma'am had to, get disconnected. And thank you, Sri Lakshmi ma'am, Secretary and Correspondent of Baba Institute of Technology and Science, Vizag. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead and stay home, stay healthy, and stay safe. Give continued education to the students and utilizing the technology. And I hope you always give the same service which you are rendering past these many years, and you will continue the same further as well. Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you once again. Thank you all of you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
All of you.